What up, what up, what up? What's happening? Que lo que miente. Welcome to Love, Purpose, and Passports. Hope all is well and all are passport ready, or passport getting ready. For those of you that don't know, I am Mr. Pro for you. And back with me again, she's always here now. Mi esposa, mi flood rider in crime.
Saludos.
Miss Pro for you. So before we get started with the topic, I want to give a shout out to Aylin. Hit us with the $20 super thanks.
I got love for my homies who be rolling with me.
Appreciate you, bro. Good looking out.
Thank you.
LPP fam. So today's topic, as you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to talk about floods in the Dominican Republic. It's a real thing. Here, you have to act quickly, and you have to know the streets aren't the same. They can happen fast. Things here can flood. If it rains, I would say if it rains for an hour straight heavy, it's going to flood. You know what I mean? Most likely. And if it rains for over an hour and a half, and I'm talking about coming down like that, it's going to get rough. So, we just want to give you some tips so you can be ready. Because this thing, when it happens and you're not aware, you can be stuck somewhere. And it doesn't have to be deadly, although it can be. It's real. But, it can be dangerous. And if it's not dangerous, it can be a serious inconvenience that when you're going through it messed up your whole trip. And then maybe for years to come, you'll be talking about how you were stuck in the flood, and all that. And you won't ever want that to happen again.
That's happened to us a couple times. It'll start raining really, really hard. We'll be stuck in traffic for an hour and a half because the streets around where we go through are flooded, and we'll have to take another route. And then it'll just be congested, and sometimes you can't get through. And a street that'll have 4 lanes because it's flooded, you can only go through the 1 lane in the middle, and it's a real inconvenience.
And you have to, you really have to know how to navigate. We're giving you some points, but like if you don't live here, it's no way you could really understand, how it is, because the floods she's talking about are the light floods. These aren't the floods that really can, happen. And we've been in that before as well. So we're going to get started. We're going to go point by point and talk about, some of the things just to let you know how to handle yourself and things, that you may expect and things that kind of prevent you from being in this situation. This one involves when you're staying, and we've mentioned this in another video before, but this involves when you're staying in an Airbnb, not so much a hotel, because hotels have generators. But if you have any kind of idea that maybe a storm is coming, or, you booked your trip and the week you're getting ready to come, you hear the storm, check with the Airbnb host or the Airbnb owner and ask them, does the Airbnb have an inverter? An inverter is like a generator, except it's ran on batteries, and it'll make sure that you still have electricity, because when the flood rains come, it's a good chance your electricity will go out. And if you don't have an inverter, you're going to be sitting there in the dark, and you probably won't have Wi-Fi. You won't have lights. You just don't know what you're going to have sitting in the dark. And you don't know how long the electricity is going to be out. So, like I say, this is DR, and we're used to the tropical things that happen. But look, those rains are those are part of the tropics. And so you don't want to, and that's something that you really should get used to asking when you rent an Airbnb. Ask them, do they have an inverter? And ask them,
Right.
has it been serviced? Is it working? Because you're going to be in there. And if you're in there without electricity, it's going to change your whole stay, you know? And also a good rule of thumb is to find out your nearest colmado. Sometimes they call them bodegas, little neighborhood supermarkets or neighborhood markets. They're not supermercados, but neighborhood markets, right?
Right. They're called colmados. We don't.
Colmados.
Yeah.
Yeah. They call
Oh
them,
no, we have mini markets.
yeah.
Mm.
But they still call them colmados. Though.
Yeah.
But you want to, you really, as a rule of thumb, should know where the colmado is that's next to, that's the closest to your Airbnb. Because if something happens, you want to, or if you think something's getting ready to happen, you want to be able to make sure that you can like at least be stocked up on water. And I would advise you to get like the 5-gallon waters, you know, the kind that go in the water dispenser, because the bottles, you're going to have to buy too many of them. You really don't know
They
what
run
your
out too
situation is
quick.
going to be like. You don't know what
Yeah.
you're going to need water for if
Mhm.
things get nasty. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. One thing about here, it can get real bad real fast, but then it can end being real bad real fast. You know,
Right.
here, you know, if it's real bad for 2 days, that third day, everybody's back to normal.
Yeah.
Like it didn't happen.
El diablo.
You know, it can end just as fast as it starts, but you don't know if it's going to be a day, 2 days, or 3 days. You don't know what kind of situation you're going to be in. So if you think there's going to be something, it's best to just get the 5-gallon bottle of water, order it at your colmado. You know, if you go to the neighborhood colmado, they have a phone number. You can get their phone number and call them on WhatsApp and order, and they'll bring it to you. You know, and the thing is, you can buy your little bottles, but that bottle of water, how much does that bottle cost?
The
5-gallon, the regular.
botellón,
Yeah, the
about
botellón.
60, 70 pesos.
It's cheap.
Mhm.
That same one we get, it's cheap. You'll be spending, you know, I don't know how much you're going to spend on bottles, but it'd be nothing like getting that big bottle and you're safe. You know, you just don't know sometimes the damage that, or the interruption that those type of floods can cause. And like I say, it'll be a bad interruption, then it'll be over. But if you ain't used to it, talk about seeing a dude sit around cussing and walking around mad and upset. That used to be me. I know now.
We've been there.
Mhm. We've definitely been there.
Hmm.
So those are 2 tips as far as dealing with your Airbnb. Actually, 3 tips. Find out where your colmado is, get the phone number, you know, and so that you can communicate with them because they'll deliver the things to you if you can't get out there to them.
Just
or whatever,
a
if you don't
side
want to.
note, the colmados normally have WhatsApp. So if
Yeah.
you need to order something from them, you can kind of write it out in English, translate it, and then send it to them via WhatsApp, and then they can deliver to you.
Mhm.
So
And mind you, fellas, don't play with these floods. Like if you see it's raining or you think of something, you got to act quick. That's the main thing. Cause these things that once it's flooded, it's a wrap for right now. If the flood has happened, nothing's happening. So it's almost like you have to kind of see what it looks like. And if it looks like it's getting ready to get crazy, look around and make sure you prepare. Because a lot of times we kind of know when something may be happening. Just like when we thought Burrow was coming, we knew to stock up on water. You know what I mean? We knew to make
Mhm.
sure everything was good and to try to make sure we were here. So
yeah, if you're here during tropical storm season, and you think that a storm is coming, or you hear that a storm is coming, stay home. Just stay home. That's the best thing to do. So one way to prevent anything is to stay aware. So a good resource for you to stay aware if anything is happening in the DR related to, tropical storms or flood watches, or, if the city that you're in is under red alert or green alert or yellow alert for floods or whatever, is you can go on the Twitter page of the COE. That's the Centro de Operaciones de Emergencia. That's the Center of Emergency Operations. And then there they give you like, real time notifications about what's happening.
About what's happening here specifically.
Yeah, specifically here. And then if it's on Twitter, like they have an Instagram, but if you go on Twitter, I think you'll be able to translate it.
This is why I was telling it, because they have it on Instagram.
You could translate Instagram too, but
right, but
real time.
I've used both. It's easier if you're on Twitter. Well, X. If you're on X, it's easier to translate because sometimes all the messages don't translate the same.
Yeah.
On Instagram, sometimes they, it messes up or whatever. But if you're on Twitter, on X, the COE, follow them and put it on alerts, especially when you think there may be weather situations.
Right.
I would just put it on alerts while I'm here the whole time, just because you just really don't know. And it's not like you're sitting in front of a television looking at the news like you regularly do.
Right.
But if you put it on alerts on Twitter, then you'll see it pop up on your phone. And especially if you can look up, when you see the skies are looking gray or looking kind of crazy or the rain is looking like it's not stopping or something like that. Or if the rain does go crazy, you want to be in touch with local, and that's not local, with Dominican news.
Right.
So that you know what's going on here, because CNN ain't going to cover it right. MSNBC, Fox, none of the cable news are going to tell you exactly what's going on here. Like COE will.
At all.
Yeah, or at all. Yeah. I saw a brother saying that one of his chicas told him that, I don't know if she asked for some money, but she might have said that, the flood came. He said, I was watching CNN. He said, I already know the flood passed there. It didn't do nothing. The flood was supposed to be on Tuesday, but what he didn't know is it flooded on Thursday, on 4th of July. And so, the news here is the news here. And, for those type of things, floods are emergency situations. So you really should be in touch. These are things that I didn't really know about years ago to do.
Yeah.
But you guys are moving around, so you never know what kind of situation and like I said, things shut down here when it floods.
Yeah.
You're shut down and, like we were talking about the inverter and all those things, you cut off. Your phone might still work, but how you going to charge it if there's no electricity?
Like the other day, there was an alert that said that, these provinces, these cities were under a red alert for a thunderstorm, which leads to floods. And they said that, we're closing down government institutes at 2:00. So everyone went home at that time. If you weren't tied into the news outlets, you would know that everyone left to go home at 2:00.
Right.
So
exactly.
That's important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some of you guys drive here. If you don't drive, all of you guys ride here. You're in the car. Listen, get back quick. It's best if you see these showers coming down crazy. And like I said, if you kind of got to use your intuition, man. You know what I'm saying? You kind of got to look because see, we live here, so we know. But it could also rain. It could rain super hard here for like maybe 15 minutes and then be gone. It could rain hard here for 30 minutes and then be gone. 30 minutes, you got to start. I just keep scratching my head. I think a mosquito stung me. When you get caught in that water, and especially if you're driving, you don't know the roads here. It's hard enough to drive these roads when they're not flooded. You got holes in the roads. You got cracks. You got dips. You got the Policia Acutados. You got speed bumps that are a little bit different from U.S. regulation. Them things are hard. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, hey, ain't no smooth just yump. It's like blam. If you don't know and you're not used to it. So, but when it's flooded, you can't see the holes in the road. You can't see potholes. There are places here that the manhole covers are missing. You know what I mean? In some places. So if you're driving here, don't think it's all gravy. I know it's some dudes here, every time somebody says something about driving and then somebody tries to tell you, look, you got to be careful out here. They say, oh, no, it's cool. You never had no problems. Listen, it's not the same. You could try to be cool and say all that you want. And one of the, it ain't never happened to me type guys. But I drive here multiple times a day, every day. And these roads, they change. You know, one day it can be smooth. You come back another time and there's some type of damage to the road. But the problem is when it floods, you can't see it. Remember last time we had the light flood and we saw the car stuck in the hole and we didn't know what it was? It turns out the manhole cover was missing. He drove in it because he couldn't see it because it was a flood and stuck. But I'm going to tell you another thing about when there's a serious flood, the streets jam up immediately. So they jam and then you're trying to drive, you're driving where you're going. And then here's another thing. You can't see the sidewalk. You can't see where the sidewalk starts. You can't see where the curb starts. You don't know if it's somewhere where the sidewalk comes out and the curb comes out and you making a turn. You don't know. You can't see it. So you could run up on the curb and get a flat, you know, mess up your rim, damage your rim and tire because you just can't see it. You know, it's not so easy like in the States where all the streets are pretty good and you know how to just navigate. It's different when it floods here. It's flooded all the way up on the sidewalk and it's a trip once you can't see the sidewalk and you're trying to make a right-hand turn. You can't see the curb. You'll run right up on it and you'll run right up on anything. So that's for those of you that are driving and you know, get where you're going to get because you'll be stuck. When the streets jam up, okay, most of the time, especially if you're driving, most likely you're using Waze or you're using some type of GPS app. And here's a big problem that you should always remember. When the streets jam up the way they do, Waze will try to tell you to take another less crowded way. And it'll take you off the main street and probably take you into a neighborhood street. Don't do that because you're going to drive it. Waze doesn't know that there's a flood like that. Mm-hmm. And so when Waze tells you to go into a neighborhood street, now that neighborhood street will probably have twice as much water. You'll run into a place in the neighborhood street. And on top of that, the neighborhood streets are very, very narrow. The neighborhood streets have bigger dips at the intersections. And so you'll get stuck and there's no way to back up. There's no way to go forward. And before you know it, you might be in 3 feet of water floating, stuck.
Háblame del... ¿Es un motor? ¿De dónde sale el motor? ¿De dónde fue que sale el motor?
You know, and so we had that situation once where we were in like a major flood out here where Waze was trying to tell us to go a different way and we almost found out the hard way. And so it's one thing about here is stay on the main streets. And mind you, the main streets can get flooded, but you have a better chance because on the main street, at least you where other people are. You know what I mean? You don't want to get stuck on a back street and you just in Davy Jones' locker stuck in the back, you know, in 3, 4, 5 feet of water with the other car stuck too. And now you don't know where you are. You don't know what to do. You don't even know what to ask people. And now your car shut down and next thing your phone's going to shut down.
Who is Davy Jones and why would you be in his locker?
That's a saying about being underwater. Davy Jones' locker is at the bottom of the ocean. That's a saying.
Like,
yeah.
Who is that and why would you be in his locker?
Yeah. Nah, look, we can smile about it, but it was serious when it was happening, right? It's nothing. You won't be laughing in a real flood here. You won't even be joking. It gets crazy. And especially because it locks up. All the traffic is there's no expressway. And you think you following ways that, dang, I'm just, you know, like 27 de febrero. That's our thoroughfare here in Oeste, right? It goes through, but it'll get so crowded and you say, dang, it's not moving. And then Waze will tell you, make a right up here. She's like, all right, let me make a right up here because this is getting, no, don't do it. Do not do it.
I think Waze calculates how congested a street is.
It does.
So when they see everybody on the main road full and they see that there's a street that there's nobody there, they'll send you there. But they don't know that nobody's going there because it's completely flooded.
Yep.
So it'll send you right to the flood.
Yep.
So be careful. Yeah.
On a back street in the dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the electricity might be out, the streets might be dark.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to stay with everyone.
We had to back up and all kind of stuff. We found out, we learned the hard way, but it wasn't the hard way. But after that, I knew, don't ever
never again
stay on the main street. Don't ever do that.
No.
You know, because Waze just doesn't know. And you used to, you know, navigation being navigation. It doesn't know. It can't handle floods. So stay on and that's another thing. Stay on the main street. Stay on the main streets. Do not get on the small streets. So the next one, is there anything else I need
Yep, your chica, no transportation.
Once this flood hits or it gets ready to hit, there is no transportation. So if you in. If your chick is with you, she's with you. So go on and, go on and have some fun. You know what I mean? Go on and enjoy your stay and, make the best of it. Make sure you got some snacks and, and some water and, go on and enjoy each other. You ain't going nowhere and she ain't going nowhere.
No.
If you at her house, bruh, don't try to make it back.
No. Don't
try to make it back. Just stay where you at until it's safe. And don't try to say, nah, I got it. You don't got it. You don't got it.
But you won't find transportation anyway if you're not driving. You'll try to get a taxi or whatever and there won't be any around.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a period where there's it's taxis that's stuck out there floating in the water as well, too. Remember that one I showed you? Remember that one I showed you? Their feet were in the water and all that?
Terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all I'm saying is just stay where you at. Stay where you at. You know what I mean? It's better because you don't want to get stuck in between and be out there for hours, just on your own like that with nothing. And then your phone dies as well because your phone's going to die after a while, and you just because you don't know how long it's going to last. And I'm saying this because, it's one thing talking in the States like, yeah, they flood. No, here is different. You get in that flood. It's serious for the moment that it's serious. Like I say, it can end as fast as it starts. Here, you know how to get back to business, but you don't because you don't know how long it's going to last.
So if it's thundering and storming and lightning out, the goal is to stay indoors if you think there's going to be a lot of heavy rain. Mm-hmm. But if you happen to be outside and it's thunderstorming already, we have a couple tips for you on how to get home safe. Okay. So, the first thing you should do is be careful with misjudging, a flooded street, like misjudging the depth of the water, right? Because he was talking about how our streets have dips and how our streets have curves and we do a lot. Sometimes it doesn't look like it's very deep, but it could go from being this deep to this deep very, very, very quickly. And it could be very dangerous to be stuck in water like that. He mentioned the case of someone that we saw. The poor guy was in one of those tiny little cars, and there was like a dip in the street, and he was gonna turn, and there was a dip, and inside the dip there was an open manhole. So the guy went in the dip and fell in the open manhole. So the car was in water, and then it was sideways, and half of it was even more in water. It was terrible. He didn't know that was a big open hole. Because he misjudged the depth
water was covering
of the water.
You couldn't see it. There's no way you could have seen that. It's like here, we know where certain things are, like the routes that we usually take. Like we know that manhole cover's always been there. We know it's here.
Yeah.
But that's over time. But look, I'm telling you, like, you don't know and gotta be careful.
Another thing to look out for if you're out in the street, if the water is moving in the street, right? Like if it's not just still water, because you could misjudge it if it's still because you can't see. But if the water is like
sometimes the flood water is moving because it can be a hill,
because it could be
exactly. Yeah.
If it's moving, be careful if the flood water is moving because that could cause like
hydroplaning.
Thank you. It could cause your car to like like glide.
Yeah, you'll be gliding sideways just like you're on ice or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could be gliding, but if you're gliding, remember the street underneath could be damaged. So you could be gliding and there could be a crack and you could glide over the crack and then you're gliding, you're picking up speed and you could fall in a crack. And that's not unheard of.
No.
Yeah.
No. It does. It can get crazy.
So we were talking about hidden hazards, right? So he mentioned how the dips, and he mentioned the holes, and he mentioned the really big holes, and he mentioned the bumps, the speed bumps. Just a lot of things that could happen. Who knows also what's inside the water? It could be nails.
There's just so many
debris,
unknowns.
Anything that you could, it's so many things that could happen. You know, so if you happen to see like water, the best thing to do is to avoid that water.
Try to get somewhere and get parked, because I'm telling you, it's a different ball game when you can't really see under the road. I mean, you can't really see under the water. It looks one way and it's totally different, because it's totally different when it's dry.
Yeah.
And then you kind of forget because the flood is happening so fast. You're like, dang, this water's rising. You driving and you just don't know. You turn and next thing you just blam, blam. You don't know what you hit. Yeah. So
those are some safety tips if you're in a car. But mi amor, what if they're like in a moto? If they're like they're walking, because you could be walking and it could be flood water.
Yeah, you walking, right? Yeah, you trying to walk, or you think you need to walk to the Comato. You trying to go walk and see something. Yeah, so there's a way that they do things. How do you guys do things here when you walk in the water?
Plastic supermercado bags, okay? We take plastic supermercado bags and we put it on our hair so the water doesn't fall on us and mess up our hair, okay? And we take these and we put them around our feet. So you'll see moto drivers with plastic bags wrapped around their boots and their shoes so they don't get, because there's a lot of dirt and gross stuff on the floor.
Yeah, it's not freshwater flooding.
No, it's not freshwater flooding. So, and it's really funny because every woman ever always has one of these in her bag, because you get your hair
stay ready. You
done
ain't got to get ready.
In case it starts raining, you always have one of these in your bag. So everyone that has a moto inside their book bag has one or two of these inside their bag. They put it on their shoes when it starts raining and you're good to go. Or like if they have a book bag, they put it over the book bag. We're ready.
They have a few more uses than we do for the plastic bags. So that's about it. You know what I mean? We wanted to just give you some tips, and we really just want you to be aware, because like I said, this thing happens fast, and I can laugh and joke about it, but there was no laughing and no joking when we were in, the last flood, the real floods, probably about a year ago or something.
Yeah.
We were in that. There was nothing joking about it. We made it home, and, we were thanking God we made it home, because it was crazy. And then when we saw the footage the next day, the public buses floating. So,
it was
crazy. Yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah. And then there was another one that happened that was pretty bad, like maybe about 4 months ago, huh?
Yeah.
We weren't in that one though. I was talking about the one we were in though, but we weren't in that one. But it gets crazy. And, we just want you to take it serious and want you to know that you don't have much time to figure it out. So please follow these steps, take them seriously. And because you really, on these, you have to call it ahead of time. And sometimes we're in the house and we're glad we didn't go anywhere, even though it didn't get bad.
Right.
But sometimes we've been in the house and it did get bad and we were thankful, like, man, good thing we didn't go out.
Exactly.
Because, we only had to find out one time. And after that,
never again. Yeah.
Because there's too many things that could have happened when we were out there. So be safe out here. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your significant others, that you coming out here to see. But also, be aware and talk to her about it. Ask her about, how she handles floods and stuff. You'll get some good information, and just keep your eyes and ears open at all times, because like I said, just because it rains hard for a few minutes, 15 minutes, no big deal. But if you see it coming down in sheets for 30 minutes straight, yeah, that's when it's, that's a little past cats and dogs. But no, if you see it raining super hard for 30 minutes straight, that's when you got to start being concerned and look around and start making your way home. Because, you can always come back out. But once you're stuck out there, you don't have a choice. So we just wanted to give you those tips.
And keep your little supermercado bags.
Keep your little supermercado bags. Thank you for watching. And we want you to like and subscribe. Love, purpose, and passports. Peace.